This video is paid in part by Multi-Mogman, and only possible thanks to everyone's positive and gracious support. Thank you. Hello to whoever finds this journal. My days in Maryland have been rewarding as they are troublesome, and as often dangerous. I have spent the last 6 years assembling my notes in hopes the knowledge I have gained over the time spent in this world to bring good fortune to whoever finds this, and to help them get a better understanding of the world they are about to enter. My intent is to create a compendium of how the world works, what it has to offer, and how you can survive and prosper. There are times I feel my work will only serve more confusion about what I found, but I also felt it necessary to compose my ideas and experience to illuminate a path to those who wish to explore. Contained within are recipes, survival tips, warnings, and more, all in an effort to promote safe travels and an overall awareness of the world you are entering. There will be times when you will be tested in ways this compendium can either prepare you for or help you from. Your choices as a player and a guild may lead to swift and unprecedented consequences. I believe this to be the ultimate guide for survival and success. Welcome to Mortal Online 2. You know that saying, you have to spend money to make money? The age-old questions from when first starting out in life, trying to figure out the catch-22 when breaking into adulthood. I can't get a car without money, but I can't get money without a car. The riddle that stumps our young minds. Well, when you solve it, let me know down in the comments. But because starting out in Mortal is really no different than starting out as an adult, raising this question once again, I have a few pieces to the puzzle that may or may not help. Really, there isn't a get-quick-rich scheme in this game, unless you scam people, of course. In the game, it's totally up to you and probably allowed if you want to ruin your reputation like that, but really it takes time and know-how and a lot of grinding. Sure, you can join a guild and have everything handed down to you, not appreciating or knowing its true value of being earned, throwing equipment and gear away because you can just be handed another, and not worry about the time invested into making it or the hours spent gathering materials to be able to afford it. Honestly, that's probably the best and easiest start for most of us. But not you, right? That's why you're here, to earn your own money, to make your own way, not get caught up in the landscape of politics. You want to make your own adventure. You want to be your own made man. So from earning your first bit of gold, to getting a horse and some armor, to investing your goods on the broker, or taking a less favored approach of becoming a highway bandit or bounty hunter, or even a murderer for hire, this field guide is on how to make money. We will be walking through from your first few days in the game to potentially running your own trades and play the brokers like a stock market, or establishing a common trade route that could be safe or unsafe depending on how you play. We're going to start from day one and move on from there and try to keep the order from easiest least risk to harder more risk. This game is built on the foundation of risk over reward, so the more you risk, the more you can take. And trolling. It's also based on trolling.
Because we're on the top of the bank. You shall bow down to us. Give us free gold. Come on, leprechaun. Give me that gold you owe me. I found you, you fucking leprechaun.
So I'll try to make this short and to the point. As always, helpful links are down in the description, and if you find this helpful or you need more help, like, comment, and subscribe. Let's begin. So let me start off by being completely honest. Your first possibly week or even 2 weeks in the game is going to be boring. You will be busy buying books, honing your character's skills, figuring out what you want to make of your life while picking flowers and gathering herbs like sea dew and other things from the beach and garden areas, slapping walkers with your stick, or just mining and wood cutting. It's going to be boring. Now, all of this does come with a risk, but these activities aren't at a very high risk. Granted, every time you leave a guarded area, it is a risk, which again can lead to big reward. But you're probably new if you're watching this, and you need equipment before you can chase after the good stuff. So chopping whitewood outside of Meduli, or mining Granum or Sabura to sell on the broker will probably be your best bet at making your first few gold. If you find a horse, and if you can find work with a direct buyer, that's even better, because you would be able to haul more and gather more, or find somebody desperate for those materials and pay you a bit more than a broker's price. However, I won't lie, your first bit of options is going to be tedious and boring. There's no other way to say it, and there's no other way around it. So if you are without a silver to your name, fresh first day in the game, picking a spawn location is going to be the most important part. This is not a town guide. One day we will do that, but depending on where you decide to start your journey is important. Most fresh players to the game that don't really have friends or prior contacts often find themselves living in Meduli, Faberdum, Tindrum, and Morinkur. These towns are the most densely populated and have the best resources close by and easily available, or at very least, readily available. So I think a good place to start this guide will be to talk a bit about the broker and how to use it. Find the nearby bank in your selected city and find an NPC called the broker, or trade broker. So we're going to open this guy up. Here we have 3 tabs. We have browser market, buy orders, and my market. I have nothing on my market, but for some reason it's marked new items, so I think something might have sold. We'll get to that. So when you want to buy something, you will go to browse market. Right here, you will have a drop-down list. It will show you every town in the game, or you can hit any broker and it will show you every town on the list that has items. So normally you want to find the town that you're in and then search for the item or resource that you're looking to buy. But what we're going to be mostly focused on is the buy order tab. It works the same way as the browser market, only this is how you sell items. So you want to check this normally about every time you go out. From here, you can scroll through and look to see what people are buying and what you can offer them. So we have Springbok Carcass for 1 gold for every 10,000. So as you see, it doesn't really say a gold, but it says a cuprum. So that is 1 cuprum per unit. 10,000 cuprum equals 1 gold. If we go to up here, the Niter Worker Carcass, this is 3 cuprum per unit, or 3 gold for 10,000. And this is kind of what you're going to check to figure out what to go hunt or what to go gather. You can sort these items from looking under here. So if you want to say go chop wood, you can just type wood and then you'll see what people are buying as far as wood go. Or if you want to go farm rocks, you could go to items, no, goods? Yeah, you can go to goods, go to ore piles, and then figure out what materials are around you or what you want to go mine and what people are buying as far as that goes as well. Resources are going to have your carcass, your wood, your raw material, and I believe, yeah, food as well. Raw material as far as food. So this is the resource, and the ore piles are mostly where you're going to be hanging out, looking for an activity to do to earn yourself some money. So again, check this every day or every time you find yourself short on some gold, and you will always find something worth buying, sometimes even at an inflated price. Again, I've said this across multiple videos. Some things, certain resources or certain materials sell for more in certain areas. So let's start with the easy stuff. Gathering. Gathering plants, wood, and stone are valued mostly by alchemists, refiners, and other crafters. The main thing to remember when gathering is the further you have to transport something, the more people will pay for it. I say this a lot in most of my videos. You will find some of the best and rare plants in the southern hemisphere, near or in the jungle. Some plants even going for hundreds of gold per stack. But let's not get ahead of ourselves, you don't even own a horse yet. So Sea-Doo grows along the beach of Meduli. This is one of the most sought after plants for alchemists due to its health properties and potions. By running north along the beach next to the ocean, you will find this plant fairly easily. This plant sells on the broker for 1 gold per stack to 170 gold per stack, which is 10,000, and if no one else has picked any, you should get roughly 2,000 per run, which is awesome because you can make a good chunk of change doing this. Picking Sea-Doo is one of the best ways to make money when you're new and without items. And you could spend this on different books or even a horse. If you find yourself in Tindrum, Run to the gardens and pick purple, white, and red flowers. There's a video about this that says you can make 60 gold per hour, and he broke down the rates of gathered materials of selling to the vendor, which is insane to say the least for flower picking, but I respect the dedication of the player base for taking deep dives into these methods, so credit where credit is due. But yes, gather as much as you can find in the gardens, then find the nearest vendor and sell it off. You may have to do this a couple of times, and it is very boring, but it is no doubt effective. Also, you could always check the broker to see if anybody are looking for these flowers, but probably not. At very least, if you get too brain dead and are on the brink of death by boredom, take some of those coins you've earned and buy yourself some pickaxes and wood cutting axes. 2 to 3 will get you a bit over a stack of rock or wood, and they are 5 silver each from the equipment vendor. Even if you don't have a horse, you can still gather wood and stone. To reference the mining guide that I just released a couple of weeks ago, when gathering these materials, keep an eye on your character's carrying weight, as the more you hold, the slower you move, the more stamina you waste, and the easier you are to kill. In Tindrum Gardens, you can find separate nodes of granum in the upper gardens. This sells for 8 to 1 gold. At 10,000 units of stone is pretty quick to gather. This will also be a pain as you don't have a horse, and depending on your race and your strength, you will have to make multiple trips to the bank or broker. There is also grey wood outside of the gates of Tindrum. This wood goes for around 25 gold a stack, but is a bit more dangerous to gather as you won't be protected by guards, and you will have local wildlife and bandits to also worry about. But it is at least worth more than granum. Heading to the south to Meduli, if you find yourself here and are dying of sun poisoning, walking on the beach all day and night. No, this isn't really a thing yet. You can start chopping whitewood. This goes for around 8 to 10 gold a stack, or mine Sabura. This is like granum as far as the market price goes and will sell for around a gold a stack. However, the reason why rocks sell for less than wood is because rocks can be processed for byproducts. And if you break these rocks down, you will get more valuable items to sell for more profit. Check my mining guide on how to process rocks into what you are looking for. I know I haven't touched much on Faberdom yet. I'm not sure of all the plant life that's around the area, but that's not to say that gathering isn't valued in the area. But it's not the main focus of the city. Faberdom is more known for its scoundrel dungeons and mining. In the area around the river that flows from the mountains, you will find Calyx, which sells for roughly 1 to 8 gold. A bit more than granum. Granum is frickin' everywhere, which is another reason that it's so cheap. But also from the river closer to the mountains, you will find purified water. I'm not so sure if purified water is a specific reagent for magic, but it does hold value mostly for alchemists and cooks. But the point being, in this town, mining and extracting locally is the name of the game. Heading south-southeast, you will find the Colored Forest and Dapplewood. There's also a mongrel horse spawn here, but also aggressive mobs like razorbacks, wolves, and belbus. Dapplewood sells for around 10 to 12 gold a stack. I would recommend obtaining a horse before you're going after this wood, but if you don't mind a walk, this is the most lucrative resource. Once you've gathered enough to buy your first horse, lower levels are generally cheaper than higher levels. They can be bought anywhere from around 6 to 30 gold, normally. You should also buy the cheapest set of bags you can find and repeat the gathering process, as this will greatly increase your carrying capacity and overall profits. This section is probably the most boring thing you can do in the game, objectively of course, but sometimes it really does pay to slow down, stop and smell the flowers. Just take in the sights and sounds of nature and appreciate such a world exists and you are walking in it. Moving on to the combat side of things, the graveyard is going to be your home while learning to fight and training your skills. This is the first place any veteran player will tell a new player to go. It is a dreadful place, full of death, because, you know, it's a graveyard. But your first few days slaughtering in the graveyard will in no doubt get old quickly. Graveyard fighting can very well be dangerous though. Oftentimes you will find graveyard hoodlums there to kill new players, grave robbers if you will. The graveyard I see this most in personally is Fabridom. Meduli has its fair share of trolls that will stand on a rock outside the graveyard and shoot your horse. I have no personal experience inside Tindrum Graveyard. The point being is, as boring as it is to kill zombies, it can also be very dangerous. There are no guards inside the graveyards, but guards are normally nearby the graveyard. I would avoid bringing any mounts into the graveyard. 10 walker heads will be worth about 1 gold, so to help earn a little extra, pick up the heads, silver, and any random valuables you find, and their bodies. Field butcher their bodies, as this will give you extra raw materials to vendor, but be cautious and keep an eye on your carrying weight. If you get too heavy, you won't be able to move. After a while, this will get boring and only raise your earn for adventures, so if you made some friends by now or are feeling brave, you can move on to fighting scoundrels. Scoundrel heads sell for roughly the same as a bandit head, maybe a couple tens of silver off from each other, and are easier to fight. But because the value of the head and loot drops raise, so does the risk. You can mostly find scoundrels in Tindrum and Fabridom sewers. Also outside of Fabridom, follow the road southeast, and pressed against the hill is a set of stairs leading to a scoundrel point of interest. Be cautious, as there is 5 or 6 scoundrels and 3 bandit types here. Bring a healer or a couple of friends. This is an excellent POI to find some valuables if no one has beat you to it. Much like the graveyard, I would not risk bringing a mount pet into the sewers. The risk of PvP is greatly increased. You do not need to pick up the bodies. I would personally focus on just picking up the heads. I would not go alone. Each head is around 40 silver, so 10 heads is roughly 4 gold. With a group of around 5 friends, you may even be able to run full dungeons and pull out even more lucrative commodities. Remember, the name of the game is money, risk over reward. Hunting and fishing in this game can be incredibly profitable, fishing mostly more valued than hunting, but hunting gives resources in abundance, whereas fishing is valued in a specific type of fish or fish resource, like meat and scales. Most popular fishing locations are Toxai, Meduli, and the Great Sausage Lake in the center of the map. Also, the north of the mountains and jungles, but as this is an introductory guide, I don't want to talk much about these locations. Fish to look out for are bloodkua, crabs, sand, and silk rays. Fishing can also lead to rare trinkets, such as amulets and rings. Fishing is also an incredibly deep system, ranging from time of day to weather to salt and fresh water, and so much more. Squirrely's 711 on YouTube and Twitch has excellent guides to fishing, links down below, and I highly recommend checking out his guides and live streams. We will also be doing fishing guides in the future, but nowhere near as in-depth as this creator dives into it. After slaying zombies and fending off scoundrels, you may have enough for a horse, horse bags, and some decent farming armor. Most armor crafters will sell what we call farming armor, cheaply or even just give it away. Once equipped and suited, you will be finally ready for your first proper adventure into the world. This is the part of the guide we move out of the cities and into the world. In this section, we are going to talk about points of interest. It's going to be a fairly short section, but in the world consists of a variety of things, from bandit to riser camps to abandoned cottages and forts. In these sites, you can find rare books, rare trinkets, money, gems, and other various treasures. These locations are typically guarded by some sort of threat, be it bandits, scoundrels, rats, cougars, or even some players. The way world looting in this game works is if you find an urn, barrel, dead body, or chest at any of these sites, the longer the lootable item remains untouched as time goes on, the more value the loot it generates. So if a barrel was looted just a few minutes before you arrived, it will either be empty or have 1 silver coin, maybe some bread. But if you are the first to a lootable item, it can hold potentially invaluable rare loot. In MO1, you could even find a house deed in some of these containers. I'm not sure if that's still in this game or not, but the point is, you can find valuable items. You can find these points of interest scattered throughout the world. Ones that are nearby towns are often regularly looted and normally don't have much. However, it never hurts to actually check. Others can be hard to spot sometimes, being found in the side of a mountain disguised as a spider cave, or hidden away in a forest, or against even some mountains and hills. By the time you are able to discover these, you should be well equipped and well off. Good horse, good armor, good weapons, and good friends. One of the most sought after POIs is the Necromancer points of interest. They drop rare reagents for, well, necromancers. Dropping necromancer blood, ritual ashes, and various other loot, there are often chests and urns with valuables in them as well. But those are simply not the main appeal of these sites, and they are often contested by other groups. Regular points of interest, though, can still be dangerous, some consisting of an entire squad of bandits, and can take some time thinking and tact to completing by yourself. Others may be guarded by a pack of direwolves or a pair of cougars. I have a theory that some of the animals or spawns that guard the points of interest have some form of buff added to them to make them a little harder to kill, or I could be paranoid and they have just been left in the world so long that they reached max level. Either way, points of interest that aren't close to towns are often passed up by adventurers and not looked twice at. I'll be honest though, while recording for this segment, I looted some known, probably popular points of interest that I know of, and walked away with about 15 gold after an hour. It's a good price and a fun time, but I would not call it a meta to get rich quick. But I had a lot of fun doing it, and sometimes that's all that really matters. But risk over reward, this is a high risk and meh reward. I will end this section with talking about the random encounters you will come across in the world: bandits, outlaws, undead bandits. They will often spawn during your travels and take you by surprise. These are actually often dangerous and, if unexpected, can be very deadly. They spawn in a ranged group of roughly 3 to 5. These are often ignored by adventurers, and I'm not sure if their loot works the same way as a lootable, or if they level up like a cougar would. You know, getting older over time. It could work the same, but I'm just not so certain. However, what I do know is that they are often valuable. They give great clade XP and great loot. You can often find gems, trinkets, coins, as well as their heads. Bandits and outlaws share the same value for their heads, and undead bandits share the same value as a walker's head. But if you feel that you can take on a group alone, or if you are with a group of friends, I feel like they should not be passed up. If you can risk fighting them, obviously don't go out of your way if you're transporting goods, as things can go wrong pretty quick. But if you don't have anything to lose, they are probably more valuable than normal points of interest. Let me know your thoughts. This is going to be the last topic I'll speak on for this video. The script is already upwards of 4,000 words and around 30 paragraphs. In every one of my videos so far, including this one, I keep mentioning how things in one area sell more for in other areas. Like, the further you have to carry something, the more it sells for. So far, we've been keeping topics pretty localized. But if you made it this far, then you should be in a place where you gain stability in an area and are living pretty comfortably. And also, thank you for making it this far. It's without a doubt one of the best ways to make money in this game is transporting commodities, such as books, raw materials, rare items, and even food. The trick to transporting is very interesting and honestly takes a little bit of time to learn. The reason I say it is interesting is because this game creates something unique with its tight community of players, all being on a single server. It's no secret that danger can lurk around every hilltop, tree, or city corner. But learning where each town is, say you want to carry a certain fish or book from Maduli to Baki to put on the broker, not only do you have to find the best route to take, but you also have to know who lives there, who are the locals, between what times of day are they mostly on and active, are they friendly, will they kill anyone that comes too close, what resources will sell well, what do they have in abundance that I can take elsewhere. All of this takes time, and to me is extremely unique for an online game. Each city, each guild of players, each region has their own form of culture and way of living. They do all rely on each other, but yet kill one another for the power and reputation. A good merchant can learn to avoid peak times to move their stash safely, learn the local politics and what the region is lacking in or in dire need of, what guilds are paying top dollar for what resource, and sometimes the hot commodity could be as simple as an extra body at their side, be it for espionage, spy work, to roughing up another player that owes someone a bit of money, or talking to an NPC and getting a bounty hunting contract. More of this in another guide. Or cutting off a supply route from another army, or a hired sword or healer for an adventure. Talk to people, explore, learn about the locals, and watch the broker market. Every time there is a discussion on the development team, Twitch chat, the forums, Reddit, or in-game conversation, for some reason, World of Warcraft keeps getting brought up. I'm sure at this point it's just a meme, but Mortal Online offers a significant and unique experience like no other game can provide. Unlike WoW and its millions of other clones, this game has a soul. It has a world that people passionately and truly care about. It has a history that is player-made and player-earned. I have never seen a game as truly unique as this one. Elder Scrolls Online is one that comes to mind, but Elder Scrolls doesn't have hardcore open world loot, PvP, and territory control that I know of, and has millions of players, which sucks the soul out of the game and leaves the player feeling meaningless. Dark and Darker is another good comparison, however it lacks the open world experience and MMO experience. This game is a place where you can truly build a reputation for yourself and the ones you decide to represent by getting involved with other players. From being a highway robber and stealing your riches, becoming a tamer and finding horses or battle pets to sell in distant towns, or to be a hero and earn your money from looting dungeons, hunting animals, protecting and escorting another player, to finding odd jobs or quests from other guilds and players looking for help to do their own task. There is so much opportunity in this game that throws the player in a sandbox and simply says, build your own adventure. It often leaves the player clueless and stuck in a position where they have no direction on how to get out of, asking themselves that age-old question, how do I get money without a car? I'm Bravado. Thank you for watching.